Hello there, welcome to the Football Bloc. My name is Brandon, and today I'm going to give you my predictions for the 2022 World Cup round of 16. If that sounds interesting, then let's hop right into it. So the round of 16 is finally here. 16 teams have been eliminated, 16 teams remain, and now the knockout stage has begun. If you lose this game, you're out. That's it, you go home. If you win this game, you go on to the final 8. There is going to be definitely more drama, more goals, more craziness going on, and I'm going to give you my predictions for each and every game. So let's start off with USA versus the Netherlands. And you know, this matchup is really interesting because the USA, they have only conceded 1 goal so far this tournament. They haven't lost a single game. They played well in all their matches at times. They do have some very visible flaws, and obviously this team lacks experience. They're a very young team. Compare that to the Netherlands. If you look at their record, they topped their group, 7 points. They played some really good football at times. Going into the tournament, in my opinion, they were the best European team. But if you watched their games, they didn't look all that convincing. They did fall slightly below expectations. And yes, you know, they ended up getting the job done. They topped their group, but there was moments there where they just didn't look 100%. They look like, you know, not as good as they can be. So there is a chance for the US. And if you look at the way these teams line up, especially with the way the US has with our pressure going forward, with the way our fullbacks are integrated with the play, I think that this is a possible upset. Now, you can call me biased, but my prediction for this match, again, call me biased, I think the US is going to open the score because we start out every single game the same way. We come out swinging. We are relentless attack after attack after attack. And we usually tire ourselves out by midway through the second half, and then we usually retreat back just because we simply can't go forward anymore. We concede a lot of chances. Now, that didn't come back to bite us against Iran. It did come back to bite us against Wales. And England just did not have any motivation to attack. But that's on them, more so on them. So I think USA will score first. I'm going to say, I don't know, maybe another goal from Tim Weah after assist from Pulisic, and then the U.S. is going to be playing really good until that second half. Then they're going to start to get tired. Then I think Memphis Depay is going to equalize for the Netherlands as they just pile the pressure on. But from that point on, it's going to go to extra time. It's going to be 1-1, and the U.S. is going to defend with their lives. They're going to be blocking shots off the goal line. They're going to be, you know, just putting their face in front of shots and interceptions, last-stitch tackles, brilliant saves from Matt Turner. It's going to go to penalties, and I think the U.S. go through. I think the U.S. will eliminate the Netherlands on penalties. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be pretty. I think both goals are going to be moments of brilliance in between just a slugfest. But in the end of the day, the U.S. marches on. And next up, the match that will decide the opponent, which the U.S. will play, if my predictions go correct, will be between Argentina and Australia. And, you know, I have to say, Argentina are my favorites, were my favorites for the World Cup going into it. And I'm kind of undecided who is my favorites at this point, but I'm not writing off Argentina. I still think that they're very talented. They have overcome the hiccup of losing to Saudi Arabia in their opening match. They redeemed themselves. They've been playing some good football since then. Australia, on the other hand, also started off their tournament in pretty poor fashion with that 4-1 drubbing by France, but they rebounded as well when they beat Tunisia and then shocked the world by eliminating Denmark. And that their plan against Denmark went perfectly, but they also benefited from Denmark just not being able to score goals, and I don't think they will get that lucky against Argentina. Argentina they look better and better with each coming match. They look more scary, they look more imposing, more just dominant in general. The amount of talented players that they have on the pitch that can score from anywhere, I think that Argentina will come out on top. Now, Australia will have a respectable showing, but in the end of the day, I think Argentina will win 2-0. Next, we have France versus Poland. Also, credit to Poland for qualifying to the knockout rounds. I think Wojciech Szczęsny has been the best player, or best goalkeeper of the tournament so far. And France, they've had a few hiccups here and there. For example, that goal they conceded against Australia or the goal they conceded against Denmark. But still, in both of those matches, they were completely dominant. They completely shattered the champions curse, and they played some good football. But they did lose to Tunisia. They did meekly lose to Tunisia, but you have to say that wasn't really the same team. There were so many guys coming in from the bench. Deschamps really switched the formation around. And when you compare the two teams, I think France obviously has 10 times more talent, and I think that will ultimately push them through. I don't think that we're going to see a great performance from France here. I think that France is going to maybe struggle to break down Poland, specifically Szczęsny, but at the end of the day, I think France goes through. I'm going to say 2-0 to France. Next up, we have England versus Senegal, and I got to be honest, this game I think might be an extremely boring game, just considering the way that Southgate plays, where he's just sets up his team to defend. He sets them up in a super pragmatic, almost kind of afraid to score because they're afraid to lose mentality, which works for some teams, but I don't think it works for this English team. And Senegal, they can be exciting going forward, but at other times, they can also sit back and defend, as we've seen at the AFCON final, as we've seen against Egypt again in the World Cup qualifiers, and all throughout the AFCON, really. Senegal don't often dominate games, in my opinion, at least. And, you expect England to have more of the possession and more chances, but, Senegal is a hard team to break down, and I think England will ultimately go through with a 1-0 victory, but I think it's going to be really slow, really laborious. And Senegal is not going to just, roll over. I think England is going to have a tough game on their hands, but at the end of the day, England goes through 1-0. Next, we have Japan versus Croatia. And this one is crazy because, Japan topped the group. Not only did they qualify at the expense of Germany, but they topped the group. They leapfrogged Spain last moment, which, completely messes up the whole bracket, really. I think that Croatia also deserved the spot where, but Croatia has been consistent this tournament where they looked pretty out of ideas, pretty much out of ideas against Morocco in the first match. They drew 0-0, but on the other hand, they completely crushed Canada. They look great going forward. But then against Belgium, they had their moments, but ultimately I feel like Belgium was the better team, or at least Belgium should have won that match. But Croatia knew they only needed a draw, so, take with that as you will. But in this match, Japan is a team that grows into each match, and, they don't play the best football, but Croatia's one of those teams that I think Japan can catch sleeping and with a sucker punch knock them out. And I'm going to say that Croatia dominate the first half, but they don't open the score. They're not able to get a goal. And then Japan grow into the match yet again and then grab a goal in the second half and win 1-0 and march on to the quarterfinals. Next, we have Brazil versus South Korea. And South Korea as well can count themselves very lucky to make it to the knockout stage, and credit to them. They created their own luck. I thought they played well, specifically in that second half in their last game against Portugal. And I don't think that's going to be enough to overcome Brazil, though. Brazil, in my opinion, have had the best defense by far this tournament. They only conceded one goal, and that goal was against Abubakar in the 90-something minute, wonderful header. And also, it was Brazil after making 10 changes to their lineups, and they had already qualified to the knockout stage at that point. That being said, they do have some issues going forward. They do look a little flat, which is an area for concern. Especially since Neymar got injured, the attack is not as jointed together. It looks kind of all over the place, a little chaotic. Players aren't working together as much as they should, but Brazil should have enough to beat South Korea. I don't think that it's going to be close in the sense that South Korea is going to have a ton of chances. I think South Korea is going to be defending for their lives, and then Brazil is going to be going forward, but Brazil might not be as fluid in attack, so I'm going to say Brazil win 1-0, but a dominant 1-0 victory. Then we have our final two matches here in Morocco versus Spain, which is an interesting one considering these two countries border each other. And it's also interesting because, well, first of all, no one expected Morocco to top the group, and no one really expected Spain to finish below Japan and still qualify. This World Cup has been crazy. I think that Spain will ultimately come out on top in this match. I think Morocco has been really, really good, and I think it is possible that they could catch Spain sleeping. But the thing with Spain is, they're not consistent over the course of 90 minutes. We've seen this with them at the Euros. We've also seen this with other Lucho Enrique teams, Barcelona, for example, especially in that third season. But I think that just the talent that Spain have, as well as how good they can be when everything's going right, we'll see them go through. But don't count out Morocco for making it really tough on them. I think Spain is going to win 3-2. I think it's going to be a really high-scoring game. Both these teams have proven that they can score goals, and both these teams have had some defensive issues. More so Spain, funnily enough. But I think at the end of the day, Spain, it will come out on top. But it will be close. It will be an interesting game to watch. Then we have Portugal versus Switzerland, and very similar here. Portugal topped their group. They qualified after 2 games, but there's some defensive issues here and there. They conceded 2 goals to Ghana, and then they lost to Korea in that last match there. Switzerland, similar story. They defeated Cameroon, but were outplayed by Brazil, which no shame there. And it got really close with Serbia, where it was going back and forth. Serbia was winning at one point. I think Switzerland did just enough to go through to beat Serbia. I think overall it was a deserved win, even though it was close. And these two teams have played each other multiple times over the past year. They played each other even more so if you go back a few years. So these two teams know each other well, especially Fernando Santos, the manager, and some of the senior players like Shaqiri or Ronaldo or Xhaka or Bruno or Pepe. All these veterans. I think that Portugal, like Spain, at times look insane. Like, they look really, really good. Everything's going well. They're attacking. They're really dynamic. But all it takes is one defensive mistake, and then suddenly they lost the plot, and then they're chasing the game, or they conceded an equalizer. Switzerland is a team that'll always be bugging you. That'll always be there. They'll never give up. They'll always be a thorn in your side, as we've seen throughout this tournament so far. And I think that they will be able to exploit that. And I think that Portugal is going to tie 2-2 with Switzerland. I think it's going to be 2-2. It's going to go to extra time, and it's going to go to penalties. And Portugal is just going to edge Switzerland. I think it's going to be really, really, really close. Razor edge thin. This game's going to be back and forth. Neither side's going to be fully dominant. Neither side's going to look that convincing. But at the end of the day, Portugal goes through on penalties, because I think Portugal have better penalty takers. So anyway, guys, that is my predictions for the round of 16. I'm saying USA, Argentina go through, then France and England, Japan and Brazil, then Spain and Portugal. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think that Croatia is going to go through over Japan? Do you think that maybe Morocco is going to upset Spain? Or who knows, like Senegal over England or something like that? Do you think I'm overrating the U.S. and that I'm too biased and that Netherlands is going to have an easy victory? Let me know all your thoughts. Type it in the comments below. But don't forget to like and subscribe. Share this video with a friend. But anyway, guys, my name is Brandon. This has been the Football Bloc. Hope you guys have a nice rest of your night.